Hello, Archie Dunlop here with Talking Astrology with Archie on Thursday, January the 18th, 2024. I'd like to start by thanking everyone for supporting this channel because according to latest figures, I've reached 2,000 subscribers. 2002 last time I looked. Okay, I know that sometimes people can unsubscribe. Maybe I'll drop below 2,000 temporarily, but it does seem I've made the 2,000 mark. I mean, I know that isn't very much in a great infinity of things, but I suppose it's a start. So thanks very much for all of your support. So as far as other things are going on, oh yes, I was experimenting with having 12 videos instead of, well, indeed 13 videos instead of one video, having a video for each sign. And I've been looking at all your comments. Seems to be the general consensus is that most people were actually happy with the old format, having everything in one video, although certain people did prefer having videos for each sign. So thank you for that feedback, but I think there were practical problems with doing 13 videos, and it did seem the YouTube algorithm didn't like it. But anyway, main thing is thank you for helping me reach 2,000 subscribers. Now, as far as what I want to talk about today, I did have a commenter writing to me very recently asking me about the European Union, and I thought that's what I'd do. I would look at astrology and the European Union. I'm afraid not in any great detail. I want to just look at two charts. One is the signing of the Treaty of Rome in 1957. So there I'm looking at the chart of a signing, and not of actually the treaty coming into force. I think somehow the signing of the Treaty of Rome was just an important seminal date in the history of Europe. And I want to look at that because that chart gets really hit by Pluto. And I think perhaps I think we're starting to see that. Another chart I want to look at is the chart for the Treaty of Maastricht. But this time I want to consider when it came into force. Treaty of Maastricht, I believe, came into force on November the 1st, 1993 at midnight. And it is a horrific chart, really horrific. And I want to consider that. Now, as far as my own biases about the European Union is concerned, I can remember as a child, I don't know, must have been late 60s, early 70s, a friend of my father, my father was a great fan of the European Union. He really, my parents were, so but a friend of my father came in, and it was before Britain had joined the European Union. He said, and I was an impressionable child, and he said that the main function of the European Union, or wasn't called the European Union then, it was called the Common Market. He said that the main function of the Common Market was just to subsidise petty, his words, not mine, I think he used the words petty French farmers. That was his view. And somehow as a child that just stuck. And ever since, I've been very antagonistic towards the European Union. I mean, for most of my life. So, as a child, I remember the referendum when I was 12 or 13. People in the UK not the Brexit referendum in 1975. There was a referendum, and I remember that, and I can remember arguing about it, and I really felt strongly Britain should leave at the age of 12, and by the time Brexit came round, I pretty much thought the same thing. But there was a time, I remember when I don't know, sort of 20s and 30s, where I became more okay with the European Union. But you know what killed the European Union? People, this obviously it's not an astrological point. I'm I'm just ranting here, but what, in my opinion, killed the European Union was the fall of communism. I don't think the European Union was possible, could possibly survive once communism had fallen. Problem with fall of communism. The fall of communism, especially in terms of the Soviet Union's hold over Eastern Europe, was the fall of communism. It doomed the European Union because it led to enlargement, and I don't think that enlargement was possible. I think that enlargement made the European Union totally unstable. Especially with this total obsession with moving east. Keep going east. Where have we heard that before? And that reminds me of Annalena Baerbock, the German foreign minister, fantasizing about the European Union from what I think she said, it's in October. She said the European Union from Lisbon to Luhansk. That is in Donbass. That's really worrying when a German foreign minister says something like that. Really worrying. That's not something a German foreign minister, maybe a foreign minister of some other country, not a German foreign minister talking about from Lisbon to Luhansk. But yeah, the European Union has become far too large. I think if the European Union had stayed by and large in Western Europe, probably would have been okay. But this enlargement has just created too many responsibilities, too many different views. As you go further east, democracy does start to break down. That's true. In general, it might sound. The rule of law starts to break down. Well, I'm saying that. I know that sounds an incredibly biased thing to say, but communism hasn't gone in Eastern Europe. At least the totalitarian aspect of communism hasn't gone in Eastern Europe. Having spent time in Slovakia, people are afraid. People may not be a communist government, but it's something else, and I think the rule of law does break down as you go east. But I know that sounds a rather prejudiced thing to say. And then you move to Ukraine and whatever. And now the European Union is planning on expanding even further, considering Ukraine as a member of the European Union. So that fall of communism has made the European Union unstable. I know that this fall of communism happened a long time ago. And there was a brief time, from maybe 2004 through to 2010, when everything was fine before the financial crisis of 2008. The European Union's golden, peak cultural and moral extent would have probably been maybe 2008, and probably after 2008, it's been morally in decline. But yeah, I will be looking at these charts, and I think that two of the charts of the European Union, and I think the chart of the Treaty of Maastricht coming into force on November the 1st, 1993, is extremely disturbing. I think that is, in a way, is the chart of a monster. Okay, before I do all that, I want to look at the astrology and the I Ching for today, which is Thursday, January the 18th, 2024. So here we go. That, by the way, top right, of course, is the flag of the European Union. If you're not in the European Union, look, the European Union does matter. It doesn't matter as much as it would like it to matter, but it's still an important power block for the moment. So I think it's possibly worth your while listening to what I've got to say about the subject. But I suppose I would be saying that, wouldn't I? So that's let's see what's going on today astrologically. The moon is in Taurus. So the moon goes into Taurus London time at 8:12 a.m. So if you're in the Americas, moon is in Taurus all day. If you're in Western Europe, moon is in Taurus pretty much most of the day. Moves into Taurus 8:12 London time, 9:12 Berlin, Paris, Rome time. If you're in Australia, then the moon won't go into Taurus until this evening, and likewise early evening, late afternoon if you're in East Asia. But as the day progresses, the moon will move into Taurus. It does depend where you are. So here is the moon in Taurus, and it's making a conjunction to Jupiter. Moon conjunct Jupiter in Taurus is really very fortunate, because the moon is in its sign of exaltation. Jupiter is in mutual reception to Venus. So moon and Jupiter are both dignified planets, and they're dignified planets, and it's very lucky. I think the Moon-Jupiter conjunction is the luckiest of all the astrological configurations there are. So it may well be a good time for starting things. Oh, especially as you can see that there's Mercury. The moon is trine Mercury as well. So and Mercury is moving to a trine of Jupiter. So if you want to start something, I mean start something pleasant. I don't mean starting a fight. If you want to start something, today might be the time to do it with that Moon-Jupiter conjunction. That Moon-Jupiter conjunction is really, really very fortunate. So, as soon as the moon goes into Taurus, good things start happening. Okay, you might say that the moon is making a sextile to Saturn. Yeah, but it's a sextile. That moon sextile Saturn, I would have said, is quite benign. It's about good organization. It's about, yes, having feelings, but not allowing those feelings to get completely out of control. But having said all that, it's not possible that the moon conjunct Jupiter is not actually the most important thing going on. Now, this is a chart with Placidus houses, which is not the kind of chart I want to show, because I don't really have a specific time that I'm looking at. So let's just put 0 degrees there. There you go. Okay, so it's not necessarily the most important thing going on today. And just have a look at Mercury and Venus. Okay, so there is a wide Mercury-Venus conjunction. I mean, it's a very wide Mercury-Venus conjunction. It's over 11 degrees. You might think, well, 11 degrees is an insanely wide Mercury-Venus conjunction. But you have to look at Mercury-Venus's midpoint. You see, Venus is about 5 degrees and 44 minutes from 0 degrees Capricorn. Mercury is 5:21 degrees from 0 degrees Capricorn. So, in other words, 0 degrees Capricorn is on the Mercury-Venus midpoint. In other words, if you reflect Mercury and Venus through 0 degrees Capricorn, the solstice point, they reflect onto each other. They're on each other's antisia, to use the jargon. So an antisia is in astrology. If a planet, an antisia is a reflection point. When you reflect something through the solstice angle, the solstice axis, 0 degrees Capricorn to 0 degrees Cancer. So, Mercury and Venus as a pair are about artistic talent, are about creativity, business talent, making wonderful things, and just being able to demonstrate one's talent and communicate one's talent. And, with Mercury and Venus, with 0 degrees Capricorn on the Mercury and Venus midpoint, the solstice point square 0 degrees Aries is about the world at large, the collective. And so it's a great time for showing the world what we can do in a creative sense. So, any opportunity to discuss your abilities, not discuss your abilities, show your abilities. It's not a time for boasting. It's just a time for demonstrating. So if you've got artistic business talents, now is the time to really express them. And, and from a business point of view, we've also got Moon conjunct Jupiter. So it's just, in many respects, is a fortunate day. But there is a sting in the tail. And the sting in the tail is a very literal sting in the tail. Have a look at Venus, 2416 Sagittarius. Well, it doesn't mean much, does it, in a negative sense? Until you consider the fact that Venus is on the fixed star Lesath. I think that's spelled Lesath. Now, I'm really sorry that I don't have a internal encyclopedic knowledge of fixed stars. For most things, I don't need to look things up. But when it comes to fixed stars, I do have to look things up. Fixed stars are not something I use all the time in my astrology, but I'm aware of them. So I go to Vivian Robson's The Fixed Stars and Constellations in Astrology. There are other books on fixed stars. Reinhold Ebertin wrote a really good book on fixed stars, but I did have it. I can't find it. Something happened to it. But let's see what Robson says about Lesath. He doesn't say very much. He says, Lesath, in the constellation of Scorpio, a small star situated on the sting of the scorpion, from al-Lasa in Arabic, the sting. Influence of the nature of Mercury and Mars. It gives danger, desperation, immorality, and malevolence, and is connected with acid poisons. So, with Venus on Lesath, be careful about chemicals, acid poisons, new beauty treatments. Beauty treatments can have all sorts of ghastly chemicals in them, can't they? So avoid anything like that. Any chemicals which can burn you should watch out for. Be careful with bleach. Don't get it on yourself. Don't get it on your clothes. And that Venus is perhaps suggesting, malevolence. Acid tongues. A few people may demonstrate real unpleasantness. As it's Venus, I hate to say it, but probably more likely to be women than men who are being unpleasant. But I'm not being biased there. Just that's what the astrologer said. Venus tends to be a female planet. Tends to signify women rather than men. So that's something to watch out for. And watch out for acids. I suppose we're hearing less about acid attacks, but in London, a few years ago, everyone was talking about people being attacked with acid. Hopefully that trend has it's not there anymore. But I suppose if there's any danger of acid attacks, whatever, I suppose you have to follow what Robeson said. Watch out for acid in a literal or symbolic sense. I suppose if you're a chemist working with acids, be extra careful today. Okay, so that's the astrology. for today. At least that's the broad astrological picture. And so what I want to do now is go through the 12 signs. So these are my star sign forecasts for Thursday, January the 18th, 2024. Aries. Aries, it's okay to be materialistic. It really is okay. You don't have to apologize. It's a day when you can take action to boost your finances, in a major way. Okay, I'm not saying that the things you do today are immediately going to lead to a financial gain, but you can take action which is going to eventually make you better off. And when you're talking about money, if you're trying to get money out of someone, I think you'll know how to behave. It's not about being super demanding in that archetypal Aryan way. It's about being subtle. It's about being the kind of person that people can trust. Try to make yourself indispensable, perhaps emotionally indispensable. Give people support and backing, and I think in that sense you will get whatever you're looking for. Having said that, I don't think that you want to be too close to any one person. A bit of distance, is going to be important. Maybe on a sort of on a personal and psychological sense, you are going to need space to be. I won't say on your own, but to be, psychologically in your own world where you can work things out in your own way. I don't think you're going to be in the mood, for example, for sort of dramatic displays of passion. I mean, that's, I've said there's a Moon-Jupiter conjunction. Yes, you can be a very nice and comforting person, but you don't want to take that too far. Now, as far as your career, I've already suggested that it's looking good because of this Moon-Jupiter conjunction that should have a really quite fortunate impact on your finances. But you're able to communicate in your working environment extremely well because, Moon is trine Mercury. Mercury is moving to a trine of Jupiter. And so you can communicate your vision, and in a material sense, it'll be quite clear that you're someone who can be trusted. So this might be a good time for Arians to start moving towards perhaps a promotion, time to be given more responsibility, because I think right now you can demonstrate that you are someone who can be trusted. Now, one final thing about relationships. I've just said that Venus is conjunct the fixed star Lesarth, the sting of the Scorpion. And Venus in the Aries chart is about the other person. And so do look at the people you're dealing with on a one-to-one basis, because there may be someone you're dealing with who really is unpleasant. As I was saying, Lesarth can be connected with acid, acidic, an acidic personality, someone who can be really cutting. So and devious and malevolent. I mean, I don't want to make you paranoid, by the way. But so just consider all these people who you're involved in on a one-to-one level. I'm sure I'm not talking about people, like your partner, spouse, whatever, but, people you just get in touch with on a one-to-one basis in your daily life. Just watch out and, don't take things for granted. And I suppose it's always best to assume the worst, and then there's a good chance that you'll be pleasantly surprised. Okay, Aries, thank you for listening, and I will give you a reading tomorrow. Okay, Taurus. Well, I've just said that Venus, the planet, the ruling Taurus's ruling planet, is on the fixed star Lesarth, and Lesarth, as I was just telling Aries and telling all of you in my general introduction, Lesarth is the sting of the Scorpion. And so, Taurus, don't be the sting. You have a capacity today for being unpleasant. Just saying the wrong thing, doing the wrong thing, and upsetting people, causing damage. So be aware of that. So now I've got that out of the way, I can start to talk about what is more substantive. What is the main theme of the day? And the main theme of the day is the fact that there is a conjunction between the moon and Jupiter in your star sign. So if you can not play with scorpions, if you can not be the sting in the scorpion, be the sting in the scorpion's tail, then it really can be a great day. In fact, of all the 12 signs, it may well be that Taurus has the best day, all things being equal, of course. With a moon-Jupiter conjunction in your star sign, you are going to be very lucky. Things are going to go your way. You're going to be optimistic. You're going to be enthusiastic, and you're going to be able to make things happen. Further, the moon is making a trine to Mercury, so that is a wonderfully communicative aspect. Now, that communication may not be always in a sort of material sense, for example, relating to career and money. It can actually be a communication across the world, another part of the world, or it can be a communication with people who have a very different view of life than you, and it can expand your mind. So when you're talking to people, particularly from a distance, keep your own feelings and views perhaps to yourself, because you want to make yourself open to new ideas, and that can certainly happen. And so really, Taurus, I think you should start the day asking yourself, what do you want? What would you like to happen today? Because whatever you want to happen actually can happen, obviously within reason. Just be optimistic, and though don't assume anything. One thing in astrology that you must be aware of is that, and this is a lesson every astrologer learns at an early stage, is that don't read too much into Jupiter transits and events relating to Jupiter, because the temptation is with Jupiter is moon conjunct Jupiter or whatever, is to tell people that it's all going to happen. You're going to be almost given it on a silver plate. Jupiter is never going to give you anything on a silver plate. Jupiter only usually doesn't deliver unless you put in the work. And with moon sextile Saturn, as well as being conjunct Jupiter, Taurus, you do have the capacity to put in the work. It's about like having a set of hopes, wishes, and then working out what needs to be done, putting the work in, and then the good luck, symbolized by the moon-Jupiter conjunction, will start to work in your favor. Gemini. In one sense, you are at a slight distance from the rest of the world. You're sort of thinking about stuff and you're not really in the mood for interacting. I think this does happen periodically to Geminis. Geminis, have got an active mind, and sometimes the Gemini mind is so active that they can't really relate to the wider world. They're just not in the mood to relate to the wider world. They just want to be in their own mental space. And that's fine. That is nothing to apologize for. Having said that, the moon is making a trine to Mercury. Mercury is the ruler of Gemini. So there are certainly ways to communicate. You don't have to meet people face to face, but you can get your message across, and you can start formulating your message, and it will be effective. But I suppose you just have to make it very simple. You don't have to use too many words. I know sometimes Geminis do like to use a lot of words, but I don't think that's appropriate for today. Mercury is also, it's making a sextile aspect to Saturn, and sextiles tend to be fortunate. And so with Mercury sextile Saturn, Gemini, I think you're going to be able to work really hard. You're going to be able to do a lot of really good work. And that's perhaps a good reason for not spending too much time with other people. Other people could just get in your way. You've got things to say to them, sure, but by making short, simple messages, that's probably all you need to do. And yeah, you have the capacity for hard work, but in your own way. Now, you do understand today that you don't function in isolation. And I mean that actually in an economic and social sense, because Mercury is currently making an aspect to the Jupiter-Saturn midpoint. And so Jupiter-Saturn as a pair is about the business cycle. It's about the economy. So with Mercury aspecting the Jupiter-Saturn midpoint, you are very aware of the business cycle at the moment. And you can see how changes in the wider economy can impact your financial well-being and your work and that kind of thing. At least you should be able to see that. You can see that. So if you're not thinking about the economy, you're not thinking about what's going on in society, then I would urge you to consider it. And you might start to see how few possible changes in the business cycle are going to affect your finances and your job. And now might be a good time to think about preparation. If you can see a change on the horizon, better to take action now than to wait for it to happen. Cancer. I think it's going to be a great day. I mean, it must be a great day, surely, Cancer, because the moon is your ruler. Moon rules Cancer. The moon is in Taurus. The moon is exalted in Taurus, and the moon is making a conjunction to Jupiter. So, and Jupiter is well placed because it's in mutual reception to Venus. So good luck is on your side, Cancer. So don't hold back. If things can go right, they will go right. Sorry to be so optimistic. It's not usually my style, but things are good. And the moon is making a trine aspect to Mercury. So, whatever you want, you can communicate it. You can tell the world what you want, and I think the world is going to listen. And not just the world. There are particular people, particular relationships that you're in, all kinds. And if you explain to the other person, especially in a one-to-one setting, what you want, then there is a very good chance that you're going to get it. And as far as relationships are concerned, the moon is making a sextile aspect to Saturn. And again, that is great for relationships. In the Cancerian solar chart, Saturn rules your seventh house of relationships, because Capricorn is the opposite sign to Cancer, and so moon sextile Saturn means that you and someone else can get on extremely well. The balance will be right. Okay, moon sextile Saturn. Saturn can represent someone who is a little bit of an authority figure, someone who perhaps likes to be in control a bit, but because it's a sextile, I don't see the problem. Getting help and advice from someone who perhaps is wiser than you is I don't think any bad thing. So Cancer, really, it's very simple. So if you want to have a good day, Cancer, you can have a good day. Leo. Leo, you are, I think, in quite a good position, provided you handle things correctly. The moon in Taurus, making a conjunction to Jupiter, is good for you, provided you put your energies in the right direction. It's a time to be putting your energies into getting ahead, into work, business. Do you want a new job? Then now might be a time to look for a new job. Do you want promotions? Now's the time to be focusing on that. If, on the other hand, you want to spend a day just enjoying yourself, having fun, being lazy, I'm not so convinced. It may not be such a good day. It's a day for being focused on the material world and what you need. You will be very down to earth, I think, and you won't really be a stereotypical Leo. I know that Leos have a reputation for being really into themselves and wanting praise and attention, all that kind of thing. No, that's not what today is about. Today is, as I said, is about hard work. The moon moving through Taurus is making a trine to Mercury, moving through Capricorn. Taurus, Capricorn, these are earth signs. These are what you should be focusing on. Yes, moon and Mercury is about communication, but it's not the kind of communication where someone just says you're wonderful. No, that's not what it's about. So yeah, just you focus on the details. You'll be really good at sorting things out, making sure that everything is in the right place. So that would be something that you could really get going on today. And yes, I think you could be extremely successful. Now, as far as your social environment is concerned, I've already said that I don't think it's a day for just mindless socializing, just for having fun for the sake of it. Nonetheless, you can make a lot of good connections over the day. Connections with people, with people who can do you good, and you can do them good as well. Fortunate, lucky connections. And if you have a busy day, even though you're going to be quite focused on the work itself rather than the social environment, you might nonetheless find that there are sudden meetings, sudden unions. You're minding your own business, and suddenly you have to interact with someone, and you kind of realize that you've actually got a lot in common with them. Okay, the common ground may be about something very specific, something perhaps financial or work related. It could be, I suppose, a set of interests, and just you will randomly find this common ground, and that may be the beginnings of a new friendship or a relationship, or a partnership. So overall, Leo, it's a good day, provided you handle things in the right way. A day for being serious, hard work, doing whatever you need to do to get ahead in the world. If you're lazy, do nothing. Want to just do nothing, but just get into lazy relaxation, I think it's not going to be such a good day. I think you'll be dissatisfied, and you might feel that you have missed an opportunity. Virgo. There are a lot of people today who can have a great time. I've already, talked about Cancer and Taurus, two signs that can have a really great day. But you, Virgo, you can also have a great day. Reason being is that there is a lot of activity in the earth signs. There is, as I said, there's a conjunction between the moon and Jupiter in Taurus. The moon trines Mercury. Moon sextiles Saturn. And so you've got this triangular relationship between the two earth signs of Taurus and Capricorn. And this triangular relationship hits your sign, Virgo. There's nothing in Virgo at the moment. Virgo, in terms of traditional planets, even the main outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, is empty. But this trine aspect from between Taurus and Capricorn hits Virgo. It energizes Virgo. So it may be a case that things going on in the outer world that don't directly impact you or don't seem to directly impact you actually do, and you can benefit from outside events. And outside machinations. So Virgo, you do need to put yourself in a position where you are able to benefit from everything going on, and to do that, you might have to be a bit imaginative. Don't just do the same old things that you do every day. Just maybe a slight change in your routine. Mixing with people who you wouldn't normally mix with. Exploring something that might be sort of mind expanding, might sort of stretch your horizons. By doing that, you're encouraging things to really come your way. And Mercury, your ruling planet, is in a pretty good position at the moment because it's trine the moon, and it's also trine Jupiter. So with Moon-Jupiter conjunction in Taurus, trining your Mercury, there could be a piece of good luck, a piece of good luck that perhaps comes from an unexpected quarter. Hence what I was saying about about being imaginative, perhaps doing things a bit differently, because in that way you can get in touch with a very lucky situation. Finally, I would want to quickly talk about relationships. So in the Virgo chart, obviously Mercury rules Virgo, but the opposite sign to Virgo is Pisces. And the ruler of Pisces is Jupiter. And at the moment, and tomorrow is the case as well, at the moment Mercury and Jupiter are in trine aspect. So when you've got Mercury and Jupiter in trine, then that would indicate that relationships are really going to prosper. So in terms of existing relationships, I think you and your partner are going to have excellent communication. So make the effort to communicate. So, and if there have been recent disagreements, then now is the time to talk, because I think you can you've got a good chance of resolving things. As far as new relationships, yeah, there's a possibility there because there's this natural line of one-to-one communication between you and someone else. So try to make the most of it. Libra. Well, Libra, I don't know. I mean, I know a lot of people are having a good day, but I'm not convinced that it's going to be an absolutely amazing day. And there are going to be temptations that do need to be handled. I've just said that Venus is on the fixed star Lesaf, the sting in the Scorpion's tail, and Venus is your ruling planet. I know that Librans have a reputation for being pleasant. They don't like to cause a fuss. They like to compromise. Okay, it's all a bit of a stereotype, isn't it? But with Venus on the Scorpion's tail on Lesaf, there could be the temptation, Libra, to do something unpleasant. Perhaps you will say something which causes huge offence. Librans can do that. I mean, it's because Librans do have a good understanding of the fabric of the social environment in which they're in. And because of this understanding, they actually know how to disrupt the fabric. And with Venus conjunct Lesaf, a couple of words, the barb in the Scorpion's tail, that could cause a lot of damage. So yeah, do be careful what you say, and because you could cause offence and you could cause a lot of hurt. And also, when I talked about Venus conjunct Lesaf, I mentioned the fact that it's connected with poisons and acids. So I know that everyone in general should, watch out for chemicals. You in particular, don't mess around with strange chemicals. Don't, for example, put something new on your skin, something you haven't used before, perhaps. There might be a bad reaction. And as I've said, watch out for bleach, soap, all that kind of stuff, because Venus is the planet of appearance, and so Venus is your ruler. So the things you put on your skin could turn out to be irritants. They could cause damage, I suppose, particularly on the face. So yeah, do watch out. Do watch out for that. As far as how best to be constructive today, I would have said today you do need to look at the world from a slight distance. You have your particular view and keep it private. And perhaps your job today is to just observe and to feel. And there is this Moon-Jupiter conjunction, which I believe is fortunate, but how best to use that Moon-Jupiter conjunction? I would suggest that you use that Moon-Jupiter conjunction in sort of more of an emotional sense. You just pick up people's feelings. You pick up what's going on in the world around you. Just pick it all up, work it out. Though, in terms of money, there is a certain emphasis today on complicated money. Not the simple personal expenditure, personal finances thing, that money that is really complicated, really difficult, maybe involving other people, legacies, wills, that kind of stuff. In that particular area, you are going to be quite aware and quite clever. So it might be a good idea to perhaps focus on difficult money that financial dealings, spreadsheets, things that other people don't want to deal with. And you can really get to the bottom of things if you try. and you may see an opportunity for yourself, maybe a legal opportunity, which may bring us back to that Venus on Lesser, the malevolence of the Scorpion. Be moral. Yes, you can mess around with money, you can mess around with other people's money, but you've got to be legal and you've got to be moral. There may be opportunities for you, but you've got to be legal, because there may be temptations there. So bear that in mind. And overall, Libra, probably the best place for you today is your own environment, somewhere you feel happy and secure. Maybe you should spend a day at home. Maybe that's the best way of dealing with the day's energies. Scorpio, you are in quite a good position. You're going to find that relationships could be very satisfying. I mean, that's where the energy is today. There is a Moon-Jupiter conjunction in Taurus, your opposite sign. Moon-Jupiter in conjunction in Taurus is very fortunate, but it's in terms of the other. It's like you yourself don't have the good fortune. If you just are a hermit, maybe nothing's going to happen. But if you interact with other people, then you're allowing the good fortune to work. You can almost pick up on other people's good fortune. And if you have recently been feeling a bit negative, depressed, I don't mean depressed in a clinical sense, just generally feeling a bit down, it does seem that there are other people who can cheer you up, who can show you a view of the world that is very different from the one that you've been painting. So let people work their magic. That does mean that you do have to let your defenses down a bit, not all the way. No one can be entirely trusted, particularly today when Venus is on the fixed star Lesser. But in most cases, you can afford to let your defenses down and let other people work their magic. Also, you will be very good at expressing yourself. Self-expression can sometimes be sometimes difficult for Scorpios, because they're very much into themselves, and they do take their own feelings very seriously, and they perhaps don't want people to know how they're feeling. But if you just give a little bit away, you don't have to give everything away. You don't have to reveal your darkest secrets, but if just the odd secret, something that doesn't really matter, you might get a very favourable response, and that could sort of increase your happiness and satisfaction. So one final point about Lesser, Venus in the Scorpio chart, rules your opposite sign of Taurus. So there may be one person who is up to no good, who is malevolent, who can spoil the party. I'm not saying this person is there, does exist, but just bear that in mind. Just so don't trust everyone. Sagittarius. Well, Venus is still moving through your star sign. That's true. It's the last planet in your star sign. There has been this big build-up in Sagittarius, and it's now breaking up. The Sun has left Sagittarius, Mars has left Sagittarius, Mercury has left Sagittarius, but you still got Venus there. And so some of that Sagittarius spirit is still there, particularly when communicating with people. You still have that excitement. It's still there, that sort of unpredictability. Sagittarius perhaps saying the last thing that anyone expects. So that's good. But Venus while moving through Sagittarius. It's now hitting the star connected with the Scorpion's tail. So if we bring that together with the standard view of Sagittarius, Sagittarius can be very tactless. Sagittarius can say things which cause a lot of upset. And so with Venus on the Scorpion's tail, obviously in your star sign, you could say something which is devastating. You could really, really hurt someone today with your words. Probably your words, I don't think your actions. So don't just blurt things out. That's really important. Okay, so I had to say that. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to be a bad day. I mean, how can I say it's going to be a bad day with the moon being conjunct Jupiter? Jupiter's your ruling planet. Jupiter's well placed. It's in mutual reception to Venus. But if you want to be fortunate today, then you have to play things by the book. It's about following the rules. And I don't just mean the laws of the land. I'm talking about the social rules. There are ways in which you are expected to behave. And today you must do that. You must follow that to the letter. You know what that means. It might seem a bit boring, and you might feel that the world is missing your wonderful sense of humor and your wonderful quick-fire wit, but no, I don't think it's a day for Sagittarian fireworks. So keep that to yourself, and just focus on doing things right. And this applies to if you're working today. There are expectations on you. Just follow through with those expectations. Yeah, it might seem boring, but the moon is making a conjunction to Jupiter. By doing things by the book, you will actually be boosting your own luck. So that's how to play it today. As far as relationships are concerned, I think there is actually room for optimism. Especially relationships that perhaps are not so much romantic, but which have a functional purpose. So if you need to get something done, you may be able to form a temporary relationship with someone. You may not even have much in common, but what you will have in common is you will have the same set of goals, and I mean that particularly in a material sense. So by focusing on that common ground, I think you can form a couple, or at least one, very useful relationship. Capricorn. The positions of the planets today for you strikes me as being pretty good. After all, the moon is making a sextile to Saturn. Saturn is your ruler, and so with the moon making a sextile to Saturn, you're in tune with the world, really. You're not going to make any mistakes. You have a clear sense of what to do and how to behave, and you have a gravitas which the world is going to appreciate. And this means that you're going to be able to get things done, and at the same time, there's no worries about self-expression. I really do think that you're going to be able to tell people what's on your mind, and in such a way that they're going to listen to you. So if you want to tell people what's on your mind, now is definitely the time to do it. And in the process, you can be serious. You can tell people what to do. That's okay, because you will be able to tell people what to do in such a way that won't cause offence. So yeah, that's good. And we've got this the fact that there's this Moon-Jupiter conjunction, which is trine Mercury, and Mercury's in your star sign, that really means that things are flowing in your way. The energies are moving quickly, but not too quickly, and you can certainly take advantage of them. One thing I should say, though, in terms of your work, in general, if you're working today, things are going to be really good, I think. But one person might spoil the party. One person might, in their own way, try to undermine things in quite a subtle way, not in a way that's immediately obvious, but someone working behind the scenes to just create discord. So be aware of that. Don't over dramatize it. You are in a strong position. It's not like you're in a position where someone else can completely destroy your day or anything like that. It's just that someone is not being constructive at work, I don't think. Now, it may not even be that they are plotting and planning and all that kind of stuff. It just may be to do with the way they are emotionally. Sometimes people cause problems just because that's the way they feel. Be aware of that. As far as relationships of sort of romantic kind of concern, the moon is sextile Saturn. That is good because if you think about it, Cancer is the opposite sign to Capricorn. The moon rules Cancer. The moon is sextile Saturn, so that should mean that your relationship with partners, spouses, it should run smoothly, and I think you'll be taken seriously. Moon sextile Saturn suggests to me that Saturn is able to set the pace, but not in a way that is overwhelming or overbearing. And with Moon sextile Saturn, there is an opportunity there to form a new relationship. It's not an opportunity that's going to last very long, but you just need to perhaps be aware of it if that's something you want. Aquarius. I'm thinking it's probably not going to be a completely spectacular day. I think that you will be happiest when you are in a fairly low-profile setting. I don't think you're in the mood for dramatic excitement. That's just the way the day is. Having said that, if you spend a day at home, or not the whole day at home, maybe depends on what your schedule is. You can do some useful things. You can make some changes at home, which might not be dramatic, but they can make your living space more livable. And also, you are going to be luckiest when you're at home. So, if you want to take advantage of all the opportunities available to you, then it's not the case that you should be rushing around trying to chase these opportunities. No, the best way is to just stay where you are. Let these opportunities come to you, because home is where you are luckiest. Home is where you are most comfortable, and it's also where you are most effective. When you're at home, you're able to get your message across best. If you're out there in the world and you try to get your message across, things could go wrong. There could be misunderstandings, and it just might not work out. So make the most of what's available, and make the most of your strengths. And that doesn't mean that you have to do a lot of traveling. Maybe you don't have to do any traveling at all today. Now, it is worth noting that Mercury is making a sextile aspect to Saturn, and Saturn is your ruling planet. This emphasizes the point that yes, you are able to communicate very effectively. It also means that your brain is on good form. You know, your brain is actually pretty amazing today. You can understand things that perhaps you've been battling with for days, weeks, or months, but now you can actually get to grips with it. And so that does provide further evidence that maybe you should spend a day in one place, because when you're in one place, your brain is working, and you can get to grips with problems that in the past have been very difficult, and not just your own problems, other people's problems. The kind of problem that you have to think about. You have to perhaps do a bit of research, a bit of studying. You can't do it if you've got people shouting at you, or if you've got lots of other people to deal with. If there's a problem that's been eluding you, well, yeah, today's the day for sorting it out. Pisces. Jupiter is your ruling planet. Jupiter rules Pisces. It's not Neptune. Jupiter rules Pisces. It's a modernism thinking that Neptune rules Pisces. And Jupiter is actually in quite a good position at the moment. As I've already said over the last few weeks in these videos, that Jupiter is in mutual reception to Venus. But it's not just that. It's that the moon is making a conjunction to Jupiter. And so there's a sense of comfort, that you don't have to struggle, that the world is coming to you. You don't have to make the effort, and you just understand what is going on, and that is true. This understanding is not logical, it's not factual. It's just the way you feel. And if you take this understanding and you follow it through, and you put it into action, when dealing with the world around you, then you're going to be very effective, and I suppose lucky. And matters are certainly helped by the fact that the moon is not just conjunct Jupiter, but it is sextile Saturn. Now, this actually highlights the point that Jupiter and Saturn are in sextile aspect, and Jupiter and Saturn are connected with the economy and society. It's true that today Mercury is aspecting the Jupiter-Saturn midpoint. That might help. But the fact that Jupiter and Saturn are in the sextile aspect, and the moon is aspecting both Jupiter and Saturn, it kind of means that Pisceans know what's going on in the wider world. You know where things are heading. Okay, they might not be heading there tomorrow, but you know where they're heading in the next few months. Okay, you might be in denial about where things are heading, but I think you do understand. Because Pisceans, if they're honest with themselves and they listen to their feelings, Pisceans can really be at the center of things in terms of aligning themselves to wider trends. And so today, perhaps that's what you need to do. Consider wider trends and see how you can align yourself to it. Whatever it is, whether it's technology, fashion, work, whatever, that's certainly something you can do. So I don't know if you're a Piscean writer or you're concerned with fashion in any way. It would be a brilliant day, where you can perhaps really articulate what you feel around you. But even if you're not a writer, there's no harm in writing. Just a few notes. Okay, they needn't be written notes. They can be just something you record. Just say what you think about the world. Just don't be afraid. You don't have to tell other people what you're thinking, because just write a record. Just get this idea about the way it's working, and just put it down on paper or on a digital recorder. Because you're starting to piece things together, and in many respects this might be the key to your future happiness and success, just being able to understand the way things are going, because Pisces, I think you really understand what's going on. Finishing with relationships, Pisces, I've just said your ruler is Jupiter. Your opposite sign is Virgo. Mercury rules Virgo. Mercury and Jupiter are in a trine aspect. So because Mercury and Jupiter are forming a trine, 120 degrees, it's an easy aspect. I think the aspect is actually exact tomorrow, but it's still very strong today. Because of this, you're going to find that you and other people, particularly on a one-to-one level, you're completely in sync with each other. So now is a great time for forming relationships and for strengthening relationships and for finding new lines of understanding. Okay, let's move on from the astrology to the I Ching. So, as always, I ask the question, what is Thursday going to be like for people watching this video, or at least watching this section of a video relating to the I Ching? So the first hexagram I got was this 38 opposition. It doesn't seem too good on the surface. What it means is that us and other people are not on the same wavelength. We may feel ourselves to be alone. Greg Winkup actually calls this hexagram estrangement. Now, this I Ching reading, in many respects, is completely at odds with what I've been talking about with astrology. And this is a reminder that the I Ching is not always just a sort of a complement to the astrology. It's actually a different view. And today it's almost like from a legal perspective, the I Ching is the dissenting opinion. So it's like the majority opinion. The astrology looks great, but there is a dissenting opinion, which the I Ching is providing. And the dissenting opinion is actually no. We are in many respects estranged from the world around us. Maybe we're estranged in terms of the thing that matters most, or maybe when you come into this I Ching, maybe everything's fine, but you feel that in one area that's important to you, you're just at odds with the rest of the world, and this might bother you. I think it's important because you can see that your views and other people's views are in many respects contrary to one another, and you might feel that you don't have any support. Perhaps at work you feel that, particularly if you're an employee, you may feel that no one cares what you're doing, or they might care what you're doing, but they don't care about your opinions. So that could be a problem. But there is a moving line, and the fourth line moves. And so the fourth line is suggesting that the opposition, the estrangement, will break. There is someone out there who actually is completely on your wavelength. And maybe that's now starting to tie back into the astrology. I remember I said Mercury. There's Mercury trines Jupiter today and tomorrow. For many of us, that means a link. We find someone who we can communicate with, and so yes, in spite of your feelings that you're estranged, there's someone out there who you can link with. The I Ching kind of suggests it might be an authority figure. So perhaps for example, if you're at work and you haven't had any support, then you might suddenly get that support. Maybe, I don't know, one manager supports you, another manager doesn't, or whatever. I don't know, something like that. So don't give up if at the beginning of the day you feel estranged from the rest of the world, because you will find that link. Which will allow you to make the most of your abilities and to be respected and appreciated. And this hexagram, it does move because the fourth line from the bottom breaks. It moves to hexagram number 41, which is decrease. Now, on the surface, decrease might not sound particularly pleasant because we don't want to decrease, we want to increase. But decrease means giving something up which probably we don't need, something which is holding us back. We let go, and then things will start moving, and we can get to what we want, to where we want to go. And in this sense, decrease might give us the idea of sacrifice. Something we're clinging on to that is holding us back, and I don't know, it could be a small amount of money, not a major amount of money. It may just be giving a bit of money to someone who's homeless or whatever, putting it in a charity box. It doesn't have to be a large amount of money, just giving a bit of money, but not a trivial amount of money. I don't know, give $5 to someone who's homeless, or put $5 or $10 in a charity box. It's kind of amount of money where you don't really want to do it because you kind of miss that. $10 is a lot. You can still buy stuff, but that little act of sacrifice could actually generate some good luck. Particularly today when you've got the moon conjunct Jupiter. You give a little and you get a lot back, and in that way you can help break the deadlock, this opposition, because in a way, by giving, by sacrificing, you are interacting with the world, and you are breaking the deadlock of the previous hexagram 38 opposition, and you are getting things moving, and then you can start to take advantage of all the wonderful things going on astrologically. So overall, behave correctly, do the right thing, then I'm pretty optimistic about how the day is going to end. So what I want to do now to finish is look at some charts relating to the European Union. Right, so that's, let's see, so what chart should we look at first? Well, I want to look at the chart for the Treaty of Rome. Now, sorry, that's the chart of Treaty of Rome going into force. I just want to actually just focus on the Treaty of Rome itself. This was March 25th, 1957, when the Treaty of Rome was agreed to. I think the suggested time is 6:50 p.m. So this was an important chart in terms of the development of the common market, and it always had these various incarnations. You have it used to be called the common market, then it was the EEC, the European Economic Community, I think. Then it became the European Union. But the Treaty of Rome is seen by many people as a really seminal event in the history of the European Union, and so I think it is important to look at this chart. So there are a couple of interesting things here. Firstly, you can see that Mercury is on the seventh house cusp in Aries. So I suppose for a treaty, Mercury in Aries is like taking the initiative, and it's in mutual reception to Mars. You see, Mars is in Gemini, Mercury is in Aries. So the Mercury and Mars being in mutual reception, I think that is actually a very fortunate aspect, and I think it gave the common market as it. I think as it was then, I get confused with these acronyms of the EEC. It gave it its beginning, a lot of strength, and the fact that Mercury was in the seventh meant that I suppose governments were able to step back a little from their own private, personal, from their own national interest, and consider the wider view. And I think that was helped by the fact that Mars is in mutual reception to Mercury. And I do think that this chart for the Treaty of Rome, in many respects, is still operational to understanding what's going on with the European Union. Now, you will notice that there is a T-square. So Uranus is at 258 Leo, and the Moon is at 3 degrees Aquarius, and that's square Neptune. So we had this Uranus-Neptune square. So Uranus-Neptune, as a principle, on a personal level, Reinhold Ebertin described Uranus-Neptune contacts as elimination of the waking consciousness. And so maybe Uranus-Neptune is about perhaps the dramatic elimination of the national ego, dissolving into something else in quite a dramatic sense. And the moon is linked there. So we've got this T-square, which is part of, I believe, the European experience. And it is potential. It doesn't always have to exist. I think we must, however negative one is about the European Union, one should forget that certainly up until I don't know, certainly for most of the 20th century, from 1958 when the Treaty of Rome came into force, it was a great success. But have a look at Venus. Venus, 2945 Pisces. Now you might say, oh, well, Venus is great in Pisces. Venus is exalted in Pisces. Trouble is that Venus is rather close to Skeet. And Venus is ruler of the ascendant for the Treaty of Rome, assuming we've got that 6:50 p.m. is correct. So you could say, okay, Venus is exalted in Pisces. It's in the sixth house. I suppose getting down to work and sixth house, basic administrative matters. But it is on Skeet. Skeet is a fixed star, which is often connected with shipwrecks. Just disaster, things going wrong. And so there is that potential always for the European Union to become a shipwreck. It's always there. And as far as transits are concerned, Pluto is about to go into Aquarius. So what happens when Pluto goes into Aquarius? Well, the moment Pluto goes into Aquarius, it starts making a conjunction to the Treaty of Rome's moon, and it starts making an opposition to the Treaty of Rome's Uranus, and it's square. So Pluto will trigger this whole T-square that the Treaty of Rome has, and I think that is going to be very problematic. If the moon is like in the fourth house, that is, you could say that the moon is about ordinary people, people in Europe just being fed up, and Pluto. It doesn't. I believe it doesn't actually quite get to the moon. I think it goes retrograde before it gets there. Let me just. I should know. Pluto goes retrograde because Pluto goes into Aquarius in a week's time, and it goes retrograde at around 2 degrees 6 minutes Aquarius. So Pluto doesn't quite get to the moon. I think it will. People will feel it in the European Union. Pluto starting to hit the moon. That's people in Europe getting restless. Moon opposition Uranus, you could see that as being rebellion. People fed up. Then Pluto will go retrograde, but then it will go direct. And so next year, 2025, Pluto will cross, will for sure hit that whole T-square. So I think we can see trouble on the horizon. Another point to make about the Treaty of Rome is Mars. Mars is it's going to set at some stage, isn't it? So you can see that Mars has culminated at 6:50 p.m. and then what's going to happen is that Mars is moving down towards the western horizon. So at 6:50 a.m., according to my calculations, I don't know, where's it gone? It hit 11. I think it's 11:36. At 11:36 p.m. That night, so 6:50 p.m. I believe the Treaty of Rome was signed. Mars was up here. Now that night, at 11:36 p.m., Mars got to the descendant. It got down here. That was when Mars started to set. So the question is, in that period from 6:50 p.m. through to 11:36 p.m., how many degrees did the Earth have to turn to bring Mars down to the descendant? Well, the answer is 71 degrees. So 71 degrees. Let's use a symbolic measure, 71 years. So 71 years after the Treaty of Rome is 1957 plus 71 is about 2028. It's now 2024. So 4 years' time, Mars crosses the descendant. We're probably starting to feel it already, but over the next few years, I think that Mars hitting a descendant is going to be devastating. And I think there's a sign there that the European Union, assuming we've got the 6:50 p.m. Correct, that's when the European Union is going to be in real trouble. I think overall, we're reaching the end slowly of the European Union in its current form, but that's something to look out for 27, 28. Now I wanted to look at another chart, and this is a chart for when a treaty was signed, which many people regard as being of symbolic importance and therefore of astrological importance. Then we have the Maastricht Treaty, which in a way created the sort of European Union in its current form. Maastricht Treaty, the Maastricht Treaty came into force. Now this time I want to look at it when it came into force. So the chart for Maastricht coming into force is here. November the 1st, 1993, at midnight. And I've said it for Brussels. This chart is horrific. Horrific. it's unbelievably bad. But just because you've got a horrific, unbelievably bad chart doesn't mean you're going to get instant disaster. I sometimes think that with these national horoscopes, whether it's a chart of the United States, of England, France, European Union, they take time to settle. They take time to start to unleash their potential. And I think now we're starting to see the horror of this chart start to reveal itself. So let's have a look. So in this chart, November the 1st, 1993, we have got Moon, 2420 Taurus. We've got Mars at 24.6 Taurus, so we've got a Moon-Mars opposition. We've got Pluto at 24.46. So there's a Mars-Pluto conjunction, opposition to Moon at 24 Taurus. Saturn is making a square to the Moon. Saturn is making a square to Mars and to the Mars-Saturn conjunction. Mercury is pretty much close to the Mars conjunction, and the Sun's in Scorpio as well. So we have got this everything, well, not everything, but so much in this T-square. This is in fixed signs. Moon is in Taurus is a fixed sign. Moon in Taurus. Scorpio is a fixed sign. Sun, Mercury, Mars, Pluto in Scorpio. And we've got Saturn in Sagittarius, another fixed sign. This is a body that cannot really change. It's completely inflexible. And when it gets put under pressure, it gets worse. And so it's fine when everything's fine. It's fine when everything's fine, yeah. When the EU is still growing, 2004, we had a benign economy, new people started to join, it all seemed nice, friendly, whatever, Beethoven's Ninth playing in the background, it's all great. Countries giving up their national currencies, adopting the euro. So when everything is fine, the monster is sleeping. But when you get problems, the monster comes to life. And now the monster is coming to life. The monster is coming to life because the European Union has got obsessed with Ukraine. It's got obsessed with countries not following the line, like Hungary wanting to express its independence, Poland trying to express its to express a different view. Of course, now Donald Tusk has sort of become prime minister, and he seems to be trying to set himself up as, I don't know, some sort of Gauleiter of Brussels. So there's the struggle. You see, look at what's happening in Poland. The struggle is happening. And so when the monster is alive, comes to life, forget the rule of law, forget individual rights. The monster will do anything, and now it wants to do whatever it can to defeat Russia. It now wants to bring Ukraine into the European Union. Is it really ever in practice going to do that? But I think because the monster knows it's finished, that is when you see that that Moon opposition, the Mars-Pluto conjunction come to, that's where you're starting to see it. Now, in terms of what's going on right now, well, there are Uranus problems. Uranus at the moment is at 19 Taurus. On March it's up here, 19 Taurus. On March the 9th, Uranus will be opposition the EU's Mercury. On March the 31st, it will be opposition. It will be opposition Mars, and on June the 3rd, it will be conjunct. The Moon. So this opposition between the Moon and Mars, which is exact, Mars-Pluto conjunction, opposition the Moon, Uranus is triggering it. It's starting to trigger it. And end of May, beginning of June, that's when it's going to get really tough. I don't know what's going to happen. And of course, we shouldn't forget Saturn. I forgot Saturn there. And so Saturn is hitting here. So Uranus is going to be square with Saturn. So this is all happening. It's like, it seems to be like a body that's destroying itself. It's like, the immune system. It's trying to defend itself. It's trying to defend itself from enemies inside its borders, like, for example, Hungary trying to assert an independent path, or look what's happened in Poland. It's got enemies outside its borders, like Russia, and it's now kind of going into self-destruct. And I think that, I think with the Treaty of Rome chart, with Pluto going into Aquarius, Pluto is very much associated with the immune system. And so the immune system is kind of overactive. And now Uranus is impacting its immune system here. And it's just trying so hard to defend itself, to batten down the hatches, that it's going to destroy itself. And I mean, I'm not saying it's going to destroy itself this year or next year, but I think by the end of the decade, it's going to be a complete wreck. One other point is that Uranus makes all these aspects, then it goes retrograde, and so it goes back and hits them all over again. So next year as well, Uranus is hitting that Moon opposition, Mars-Pluto. So anyway, I thought I'd share that chart. It really is a terrible chart. It's actually a chart that's actually worse than Joe Biden's solar return for this year. So it does not bode well. And I know I'm biased. As a child, I was never supportive of the European Union. But the astrology does seem to reflect it. It's not going to happen, and I think we are seeing the end of the European Union in its current form, and I think the astrology confirms that. And going back to what I was saying yesterday, I was talking about Pluto moving into Aquarius. It is quite a rebellious thing. You do get this. On one hand, you get governments trying to assert their control. And that's what the European Union is going to be doing. If you think it's bad now, it's going to be worse over the next few years. That's classic Uranus in Aquarius. The EU trying to create a situation where, for example, Viktor Orban in Hungary is not allowed to make decisions about European expenditure, particularly in terms of sending money to Ukraine. But it's going to get worse than that. And, I think what's happening in Poland is also a reflection of what's happening. And, I think it's going to get worse when Pluto goes into Aquarius. But with Pluto in Aquarius, it's not just about governments trying to assert their control. It's also about people trying to get their freedom back. And it's about countries trying to get their freedom back. And remember, Pluto went into Aquarius in the 1530s, at the time when Henry VIII of England made his break from the Catholic Church. And so I think that there are going to be countries in Europe that are going to want to make their break not from the Catholic Church, but from Brussels. So I don't see any room for optimism here with the European Union. Okay, thank you for listening. I hope you found that useful. If you enjoyed the video, I'd be very grateful if you liked it. If you're not subscribed and you enjoyed the video, then feel free to subscribe. And if you want to buy me a coffee, there is a link in the description. Thanks again for listening, and I will talk to you again tomorrow.